Hi, welcome to Chatting with the Cardinals. I'm Cooper Welch, your host, and we decided to do this podcast because we really wanted to make sure our Cardinal fans felt like they were a part of the process as we move forward. As most of you know, the Southland Conference and the NCAA have canceled all spring competition for the rest of the season, and most likely we won't see anything team organized until August. There's still going to be a few practices here and there, but that's on a evolving basis with the CDC guidelines and everything else that's going on. So we decided to make a few podcasts so we can chat with you, the fans, and you can know on a more consistently updated basis what's going on here at Lamar University. So today we sat down with the Lamar University Athletic Director, Mark Bourne, and we're going to talk with him about what he felt when the decision came down to cancel all spring sports, some other pretty serious discussion, and then we'll get into a little bit more lighthearted stuff to round out today's episode. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Marco.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll avoid shaking hands per the CDC's guidelines. But first, just walk us through what happened from your perspective the day the decision came down to first suspend and then cancel all spring sports here at Lamar University.
Yeah, a lot of it happened in Katy during the basketball championships last week, and we had a lot of meetings there as athletic directors that we usually have during the tournament, unrelated to coronavirus usually. So we talked about all kinds of things related to basketball and the league. And then obviously the coronavirus was the big topic of discussion on Thursday morning. And we started making some decisions about, postponing some things. And then I think all of that was pretty well documented. We went to bed Thursday night after our basketball game against McNeese. And, knew we were going to play the games without fans on Friday. But as we got into the arena on Friday morning, we made decisions about canceling the tournament and so forth. So it was surreal. Some of those days are running together now, and what we did there last week. But it's been surreal, and I hate it for our student athletes. I hate it for our fans, but especially our student athletes when it comes to our spring sports. They had the whole spring still looking forward to for their season, and I feel for them, very sympathetic to them, and we've communicated with them throughout the last week or so, and certainly the last couple of days. We had a staff meeting this morning with our head coaches and our staff, and kind of outlined the rest of the week. But still a lot of questions to be answered, but certainly something that I didn't think I was ever going to be part of.
Sure. I don't think anybody saw this coming.
Sure.
I think you'd be unjust and a little bit untrue to say that anybody really prepared for this and saw this happening. But as a decision maker here at Lamar University, you were obviously heavily involved with what happened. Talk us through, some of the different options you considered, and just what really was your mindset, the pressures maybe you felt, all the different ways you were pulled going through that time.
Yeah, sure. I think the biggest thing was, we wanted to find a way to play games, starting with basketball, but also starting with the spring sports. We wanted to continue to compete. I think our student athletes wanted to continue to compete.
Absolutely.
They want to continue to practice, quite frankly, too, because they're student athletes, and obviously going to class and all those things that go first. But they still love to play their sport, and not being able to do that was, we try to find ways. How can we play without fans? How can we play without anybody? How can we play part of the season? So it's gut wrenching when you have to make a decision to kind of take all that away from them. And we're looking forward. We're having a lot of plans about how do we communicate with our student athletes? How do we keep them engaged? Campus is on spring break this week. Next week we're on online classes. So how do we continue to engage with them? How do we keep them somewhat in a routine? How do we keep our staff in a routine? And it's certainly something I didn't ever think I had to do. And as being a former student athlete, and tennis is a sport I played, so that's one of the sports that was affected certainly. And just feel really, really sad for our student athletes, but they have been rock stars. They've been understanding. The coaches have been awesome. They've been communicating with their student athletes and teams, and couldn't be more proud of the way all of them have handled it so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've gotten some good news from all that has happened with the COVID-19 decisions, including that seniors that had their season cut short will now be eligible to have another year. As a former student athlete who, worked through 4 years and graduated, how would you feel during this current time if, your senior season had been cut short and then now there's a chance that you could come back and play again?
Well, I think that was a great decision by the NCAA. They're still working through all the other details, and then those are discussions we've had and questions we're trying to answer when it comes to roster limits and scholarship limits and financially how do we afford all that. But I think it was the right decision to be made, and it's obviously for all the spring sports. I think the NCAA is also having discussions about the winter sports, which the basketballs are considered winter sports, but all the spring sports moving forward, and it's not really just the seniors, it's everybody. Everybody's getting an extra year, so it certainly will create challenges financially. It'll create challenges from a recruiting standpoint. When we already have sort of given away that scholarship from a senior because you didn't think they were going to come back, and but we're working through all that. But I think that was the right decision, and glad the NCAA came out with it very quickly to make that decision, and then moving forward we'll see how we figure that out. But I'm happy for our seniors. If they choose to come back, they have another opportunity to play.
Right. So you'd say that challenges are worth it if it's the right thing to do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, with the decision to not have sports here at Lamar University for the rest of the semester, what is on the external side and the administrative side, what are some of the things that your team is going to be doing moving forward?
Yeah, we're going to do a lot of we're going to work remotely.
Sure.
We're gonna all work from at home and try to have virtual meetings and conference calls and all those things. And but we're going to work on a lot of things and try to highlight our student athletes, try to recap the year, celebrate some of those seniors that didn't get to play the rest of the spring. I think we'll see a lot of social media engagement, a lot of creative content. I'm very proud of our external staff that you're part of, and already thinking about those things. And the meeting we had this morning was exciting to me to kind of see, let's look forward. Let's look at this as an opportunity to share the great things that we have and keep our fans and our student athletes informed. Right. I think we're going to use our platforms to also, like I said, inform our student athletes of things that they need to know about academics, about study hall. We've had a conversation about how do we do study hall now, because we're not supposed to be around each other. So we're talking about Facebook or study hall or something like that, where we know that they're studying and keep an eye on them. So that's going to be a challenge. I know we're not unique to that. I think we're just part of campus. Campus is as a whole. We're talking about our 375 student athletes, but you talk about campus with Dr. Evans and all the deans and everybody else involved. We have another 14,000 students we got to deal with. So
absolutely.
We're trying to be creative, so hopefully people will tune into our social media content and what we have out there. But I can't wait to see it. It's kind of exciting, and I'm glad we're looking at it as an opportunity to look forward and to make our Lamar student athletes, coaches, and staff and fans proud.
All right. There are a lot of seniors that will choose to come back with this next year of eligibility. But what would you say to the people that choose to not come back to the bar?
Well, I want to thank them for their time with us. I want to thank them that I'm proud of them. And I'm also sorry that they couldn't finish their year. I think, again, that's something that when I talked to the coaches on Saturday morning and told them that we had to suspend or cancel the spring season, I told them I was sorry. And I hope they conveyed that to their student athletes. And if the seniors decide not to come back, then I hope they had a good time here. I hope they're proud Cardinals. I want them to know that they're always welcome to come back. And that's the message we give every student athlete when they leave us and every alum. But just proud of what they've done, how they represented us, how they continue to represent us. And I hope they come back often, and they're always welcome.
All right. Let's move to a little bit more lighthearted subject. We did get a pretty significant portion of the 2019-20 season in. So just tell us a few of your favorite moments from this year.
Sure. Well, I guess we can go all the way back to the fall. I think soccer winning 2 out of the last 3 years in a Southland Conference Championship and going all the way to UCLA and playing over there and representing us so well. I think cross country winning the conference championship and came close to making it to the NCAA finals. I think we had a NCAA track and field long jumper or triple jumper.
Yeah, I think
triple jumper that just made it to the NCAA finals, and he was actually in New Mexico.
Wow.
And we got the call last week and over the weekend, and he was getting ready to perform and compete in the NCAA finals, and really proud of the way he competed. And now those are some highlights competitively, I think, the way we competed. But in general, I'm proud of the way our student athletes have represented themselves in the classroom, or our department represented in the classroom, how they competed on the court in the field. And just how they've supported each other. I think that's something we talk about all the time. If you think about our football games, our basketball games, the softball games we had recently, and the baseball games, we see other teams out there supporting each other. That's something I'm really, really proud of, and hopefully that will continue. We don't know when we're going to see each other again in person, so to speak, but we need to stay engaged. We need to stay a family, and the hashtag #WeAreLU is probably something that will be even more important moving forward.
Absolutely. I remember during the football season, a big focus moving forward was the Change the Culture video, where we embraced having a student section for the first time, or at least a clearly labeled one, and tried to give things more direction and organization. It's been very encouraging in my 2+ years here at Lamar to see the family mindset really taking hold under your direction.
Yeah, well, thank you.
All right. Here's one for you personally. We've seen a lot of people, not quite hoarding, but stocking up on things, whether that's toilet paper or canned goods or whatever. But obviously everybody has that one thing that they have to grab from the store that they just have to have stocked up when they go home. What is your guilty pleasure that you have stocked up at the house right now?
I don't know if it's still stocked up because my daughter likes it now too, and that's Nutella. I don't know if anybody knows that, but it's a German thing. So and they do have it at H-E-B and Kroger, and I do have that at home, and I eat it on toast, but I sometimes eat it just by itself too with a spoon. So that's at home. I'm pretty sure it's running low because Scarlett likes to do that too. She likes to copy Dad, but yeah, that's one thing I think that's a guilty pleasure of mine, and I may even go and stop by and get some on the way home. We'll see.
I've heard they make jars that are like this big now.
Yeah, I've got the big jar. Yeah.
All right.
Sam says those too.
Fair enough. Well, I think the last question we have for you today is, what is the thing you most look forward to when this finally is, worked its course and we get to come back and be working in college athletics in August?
I think just seeing all of our student athletes back on campus, whether that's at the events or at practice or first day of class or, just having the back to school barbecue that we do in August that we'll definitely do now. So I think just kind of seeing them all back together, I think it's kind of surreal to having to meet and, virtually, even though these days, like with technology, the way it is, it's fairly easy.
Yeah, a lot easier.
I didn't realize you can have 30 people on FaceTime. I thought it was just me and my parents, but it's apparently 30 people. So I think getting them all back together, I think, doing everything online is a good way as a backup plan. But I think what makes college athletics, or really college and the university setting, so special is just the personal interaction that you can have with the professors, with the students, with the coaches, with the staff. So I think just seeing everybody back together in August, and it'll be here before we know it. And I know we'll all be much closer and even more of a family. And I hope our fans buy into that too. I hope our fans show up in the fall to those sporting events and fill the stands, and we'll find a way to celebrate all of that at some point when we all get back to normal.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And that'll conclude the first episode of hopefully a long series of chatting with the Cardinals. Again, we just want to say to our fans, you're part of this Cardinal family. We're here for you, and we're all going to be working through this together in the coming months. And as just a last reminder, make sure to wash your hands.